Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. Those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Maria, and today I'm going to be trying out, it's the newly released, it's called the Hourglass Vanish Airbrush Primer. I haven't used this came in the mail the day before yesterday. I picked this up from Selfridges because it isn't available yet here in New Zealand. So this primer is supposed to give a blurred and airbrushed finish. It does have a gel formula, but what I was really interested in is that it says it has microspherical powders in it. And I think that will have a mattifying effect to my skin. Well, that's what I'm hoping for. And hopefully those powders kick in, because that will probably give it the long-lasting effect and help my foundations wear even that little bit longer. So in front of me on the table here, I do have quite a few different primers, and I've also got some setting sprays. And some setting sprays I also use as a primer. I don't do that often. That would be if I wanted my foundation to really last all day, and if it was a really hot and humid day, then I'd probably reach for something like this Charlotte Tilbury. It's the Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. You put that on first before your foundation, or even I've got in front of me the Urban Decay All Nighter. That is really good as well for putting on before you put your foundation on. So that is a really good trick. If you have very oily skin and it is hot, humid weather, it does help in keeping your foundation that really lovely, soft, matte look all day. So also in this little box, I do have the original Hourglass primer. It's the Veil Mineral Primer Oil Free one. And as you can see, I've nearly used this up. It hasn't got much left and it doesn't really pump out anymore, so I'll still be able to use it all up. I just pull out the top and use the excess in there. This gives a really silky feeling to the skin, and I like wearing this when I'm using a foundation that's probably a soft matte, or one that isn't overly dewy or going to give a glowy type of finish. And as you know, one of my favorites that I bought about 2 or 3 months ago now, and it's the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydro Primer. I really like this too. So this is quite an interesting primer because it has the hyaluronic acid in it, which gives moisture. But this primer also gives, once you put it on, a very smooth and a little bit of a blurring effect. And it also gives a very soft matte finish. This is a great primer for oily skin, and one that I've been wearing a lot lately, especially in the warmer weather, and it seems to do a really great job. So I'm not going to go through them all, but the other couple of ones I've got there is the Milk Hydro Grip that I use when I want my foundation to really grip on. And also the Sisley primer, which is really beautiful, and I do reach for that when the weather isn't so hot or isn't going to be humid, because then, as I said, I reach for a different primer that I know will last and help sort of slow down that process of my oils breaking through. So I'll just take this primer out, and here is the packaging. It is in a glass bottle, just like the other primer, and with a gold coloured lid which pulls off, and then a pump dispenser. So the actual packaging and the way you dispense the product is exactly the same as the other Hourglass primer. So this primer has 10 mils of product. It is made in Italy. It has a 12-month shelf life from date of opening, although it does last longer than that if it's anything like the other Hourglass primer that I have. And like all the other Hourglass products, this is cruelty-free. So one thing that's quite interesting on the Hourglass website is that they have these before and after slides, and they say that they're not retouched. So it shows before and then it shows after with, I think it might be 3 of the models or 2 out of the 3 models. The after shows not only after they've put on the primer, but also using the Hourglass concealer and an Hourglass foundation as well. I won't be using Hourglass concealer and foundation because I don't have any. but I will be using my sort of go-to favorite foundation. And also on their website, it says 93%, these are the people that tried it, their pores instantly looked minimized, 96% their skin texture is instantly improved, and 96% said the oil absorbed all day. I find that any brand that uses these type of claims really interesting, because it really depends. I'd have to have a closer look to see how many people they tested it on. Have these people used a primer before? And if they have used a primer before, have they used a primer similar to this? So the devil is in the detail. So all these claims sound really, really wonderful, but when you look a bit further, sometimes it's not quite what it seems. But in saying that, I do love the other Hourglass primer. So I'm hoping for big things with this one. So I will eventually put this primer all over my face. But what I'm first going to do is put it on the left side of my face and leave this side bare. And then I'm going to show you what it looks like, not only under these lights in front of me, but also in natural light as well, and see if you can see a difference between the side that I have the primer on and the side that doesn't have primer on. So those of you that haven't watched my videos before, I have really oily skin. I have mature skin. I'm 52 years old. I also have texture on my skin, which has improved a lot because I did change my skincare routine a couple of years ago. But I do have pores, I have wrinkles, and there is, you probably can't see, but I do have a little bit of scarring, because before I changed my skincare routine, I used to suffer from breakouts quite a lot, and I used to get the odd cystic type of pimple as well, and unfortunately those do tend to leave a little bit of scarring. So I'm just going to put one pump of this on. Actually, I've probably put a little bit too much on. Quite a bit comes out. So this is what it's like. They describe it as a gel type texture. So it does feel different to the other Hourglass primer. So I'm just going to put a little bit on, and as I said, I'm just going to do this side of my face to begin with. So it does feel like a very smooth type texture going on. So it'll be interesting to see how it feels in about another minute, because I will let it settle just for about a minute, just like I do with my other primers. And I also forgot to tell you that all my skincare has been done for the morning, and the last step in my skincare routine is sunscreen. I always wear sunscreen, and I use a lot of it. I put 1/4 teaspoon of sunscreen on. Now that's a step I just will not skip. So any primer, foundation, makeup that I use just has to work with the sunscreen that I use as well. So I don't know whether you can see, but it's been on now for about nearly a minute, and it has mattified the skin. Now it doesn't feel dried down, but it doesn't feel as oily as the side. The side isn't oily. It's where I've got, as I was saying, my skincare and also my sunscreen on. It feels smoother, so they are right. It does instantly feel smooth, but I did expect that with the primer. And I'm just seeing if it blurs the pores. I think it does give a blurring effect. They seem to be, I mean, they aren't gone, but they do seem to be diminished somewhat compared to the side here. So what I'm going to do now is just go out to another room in my house that has these big huge windows, so you'll be able to see this in natural light as well. So here I am in the other room. I'm standing right in front of a really big window, and there's another big window to the left of me here. So this is the side that I put the primer on, and this is the side that hasn't got any primer on. So I don't know whether you can see any difference. I can, and as I said, it has mattified the skin, not dried down, just feels really soft and smooth. But there is a difference between this side and that side here. So really the next test is to see how one of my favorite foundations goes over the top of this primer and how it will last throughout the day. So now I'm going to put some primer on the other side of my face, and then I'm going to put some foundation on. It does go on really, really beautifully. I don't think there is a fragrance. If there is, it's hardly detectable. So this side I've been wearing now for about 5 minutes, and this side I've just put on. So if you give it a couple of minutes, it definitely mattifies the skin. As I was saying in the other room, it's not a dried down feeling, but it gives me great hopes that this is going to help keep my oils at bay during the day. So now I'm going to put on some foundation. It is one of my favorites. I do have a few favorite foundations, but this is a really gorgeous one. And this is called the Burberry. This is the Matte Glow Foundation. It is in shade 50 in medium neutral. This is what the foundation looks like for those of you that haven't seen this Burberry foundation before. And I'm going to put it on using the BK Beauty 101 foundation brush and just put it on like I normally would. Now this foundation, even though it has the word matte in it, it's not a flat, dry sort of matte. This is a really soft matte foundation, and I just think it gives a really beautiful finish to the skin. Now while I'm applying it, it's quite interesting because it feels like it is a little bit drier going on than it normally is. So I've now put on some concealer and done my eyebrows, but I haven't put on any more makeup apart from the foundation on top of the primer. So this is really interesting because with this foundation, normally I powder it down. Now I don't bake the powder on, but I do put a little bit of powder on using a soft fluffy brush. And when I feel the foundation, it feels like I don't need to do that, even though it's going to be really hot here today. So I'm not going to put any powder on my face today and see how it wears throughout the day. Once I've done my full face of makeup, I will come back so you can have a final look. And I'll also put something underneath here to let you know how it wore throughout the day as well. But apart from it just feeling like I don't need to put any powder on, I think it does blur. There's no doubt about it. I can see the difference with my pores, and I think it gives a really beautiful finish. And if this works, like I'm hoping it will work, without powdering down the foundation and keep my oils at bay during the day, then I think with some of the other foundations that I normally would wear in winter, I'm now probably going to be able to wear in summer if this goes how I hope it's going to wear throughout the day. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put on a full face of makeup and do another video doing that makeup, and then I'll be back so you can take a final look. So I've now got all my makeup on, and I've actually done another video, and it's nearly 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I first put this primer on. It was about 10 o'clock or just before 10 o'clock this morning. So I've been wearing it for a good 4 hours. My foundation looks as good as when I put it on 4 hours ago. And I haven't powdered my face at all. So this is the primer's work that is keeping my skin from any oils showing through. It is a really beautiful primer. It is summer here in New Zealand. It is a really, really warm day today. I don't have air conditioning in this room, and I haven't got the air conditioning on in the rest of the house either. So it's a real test of how this primer is working. And as I said, the Burberry foundation that I put on even though it is a soft matte, it is one that I do lightly powder, and the fact that I don't need to powder it is a real testament to this primer. So I will be wearing it for at least another 6 hours today, and I'll let you know down here how it wore. But at this stage, I think this is a fantastic primer. So I'll show you what this looks like in the natural light as well, just like last time. So I'm back in natural light again, in the same room as I was last time. The huge window in front of me and a big window to the left of me. So this is what it looks like in natural light. I think it's a really good primer. I'm going to have to see how it sort of wears through the day and whether without powder it keeps me oil free, but at this stage it is looking pretty good. So as you can see, my makeup looks really, really good. This is a fantastic primer. So unless something goes drastically wrong for the next few hours while I'm wearing this primer, at this stage I think it is beautiful. And I also have high hopes for this primer. I do have a few foundations that are probably more geared to autumn, winter with my oily skin, but I'm going to test it out and try some of those foundations on hot days using this primer, and maybe I might be able to wear them all year round now that I have this. I'm really impressed by it, and it takes me quite a bit to be really impressed by a product. And when I got this primer, I thought, oh, I don't know, I have a few primers, will it be that good? And I know what they say on their website, but as I say, the devil's in the detail, and you've really got to try it out. But at this stage, I really, really love it. So I'll keep using this primer, and I'll use it with a whole lot of other foundations, and in about another month or two, probably when I have some favorites for the month and fails, I will update you and let you know how it's going. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye.